Now, this is a dancer's trade secret. You must never let them think you're working hard. If you have to jump over something, you can't make it look like that. It has to be very light and very...
Hollywood is a land of dazzling lights and legendary careers. But behind the cameras, egos run unchecked and power often corrupts. Some of the biggest names in entertainment built their legacies not only with talent, but with behavior so shocking it left co-stars and crews reeling. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the stars whose egos turned movie sets into battlegrounds. From dangerous on-set violence to absurd demands, these are the Hollywood icons who took it way too far. Before we dive into this chaotic web of backstage meltdowns and diva behavior, hit that subscribe button. Every sub fuels my caffeine addiction, because trust me, I need coffee to survive these Hollywood horror stories. Steven Seagal. Martial arts icon or set room tyrant. Steven Seagal was the tough guy of the 90s, known for his bone-crunching action scenes. But off-camera, he made life hell for his co-stars. Actor John Leguizamo learned this the hard way when he laughed during rehearsal. Seagal didn't appreciate the joke, so he shoved Leguizamo against a wall with such force it knocked the wind out of him. But that wasn't the only incident. Actress Jenny McCarthy claimed Seagal asked her to undress during an audition for Under Siege 2. The role didn't even require nudity. And if that wasn't enough, he allegedly brought a gun to a meeting with another actress. The man treated casting calls like hostage situations. But Seagal wasn't the only action star whose off-screen behavior was anything but cool. Steve McQueen. The king of cool, and the king of petty Steve McQueen, was the ultimate tough guy in films like The Great Escape and Bullet. But off-screen, his ego was fragile. McQueen demanded equal billing and screen time with co-star Paul Newman in The Towering Inferno. He reportedly counted lines in the script to ensure Newman didn't get more dialogue. And when his neighbor, actor James Garner, starred in the racing film Grand Prix, McQueen felt upstaged. His response? He urinated on Garner's balcony as a bizarre act of revenge. King of cool, more like king of petty. And from pettiness, we move to pure intimidation. Kiefer Sutherland. Jack Bauer on-screen, set terror off-screen. Kiefer Sutherland brought intensity to the hit show 24, but behind the scenes, his co-stars dreaded working with him. Freddie Prinze Jr. called Sutherland the most unprofessional dude in the world. Prince was so miserable working with him, he considered quitting acting altogether. Actress Shore Agdashlu described Sutherland as angry and difficult, suggesting her sudden departure from the show was no coincidence. Jack Bauer saved the day on screen. But off-screen, he was the reason people wanted to escape. Speaking of perfectionists who pushed everyone to their limits. Gene Kelly. Dance legend or on-set drill sergeant. Gene Kelly's smooth moves lit up screens in Singin' in the Rain, but co-stars saw a much darker side. Debbie Reynolds was just 19 when Kelly pushed her through grueling dance routines until her feet bled. She hid under a piano crying after one particularly brutal day. Esther Williams, another co-star, said Kelly was so insecure about his height that he made her slouch during scenes to avoid looking shorter. Perfectionism is one thing, but when your co-stars need therapy afterward, maybe you've gone too far. But sitcom sets weren't safe from egos either. William Frawley. The lovable neighbor on-screen, the drunk uncle off-screen. Best known as Fred on I Love Lucy, William Frawley brought laughs to audiences but misery to his co-workers. Frawley battled alcoholism and had such a temper that Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz enforced a 3-strike rule. If he showed up drunk 3 times, he'd be fired. His hatred for co-star Vivian Vance was legendary. Off-screen, they refused to speak, turning their on-screen bickering into something a little too real. And if you thought comedians were all fun and games, think again. Milton Berle. Mr. Television or Mr. Steal Your Jokes. Milton Berle was a TV pioneer, but he was also infamous for stealing jokes. Comics knew that if they performed near Burley, their best material might end up in his next set. His arrogance hit new levels when he guest-hosted Saturday Night Live. He ignored the script, ad-libbed wildly, and gave orders to crew members like he was directing a war movie. The SNL team vowed never to work with him again. But behind the camera, one director took control to disturbing extremes. Alfred Hitchcock. Master of suspense or master manipulator? Alfred Hitchcock revolutionized filmmaking, but his behavior toward actresses was far from masterful. During the filming of The Birds, he subjected Tippi Hedren to a horrifying ordeal. using live birds to attack her without warning. She left the set bloodied and traumatized. When Hedren rejected his advances, Hitchcock tried to ruin her career, blacklisting her from major roles. He didn't just direct suspense films. He created suspenseful nightmares for his actresses. Even James Bond had a dark side. Sean Connery, 007 on-screen, zero respect off-screen. Sean Connery defined cool as James Bond, but his off-screen comments left fans shaken, not stirred. In a 1965 Playboy interview, Connery said he saw nothing wrong with hitting women. He doubled down on this view decades later in an interview with Barbara Walters. Despite his charm on screen, his rigid attitude and clashes with directors made him difficult to work with. From action heroes to music icons, egos knew no bounds. Rudy Vallee, pop star pioneer or broadcast bully. Rudy Vallee was the original pop heartthrob, crooning love songs through his megaphone, but his charming voice masked a vicious temper. During live radio broadcasts, Vallee berated his orchestra publicly. He once punched a photographer and regularly fought with his own audience. He may have set the standard for pop stars, but he also set the bar for bad behavior. Even America's sweetheart had her thorns. Lucille Ball, comedy queen or ice queen? Lucille Ball revolutionized TV, but off-screen, her warmth disappeared. She was known for being aloof and demanding. One flight attendant recalled Ball refusing to speak to her directly, instructing an assistant to relay her messages instead. Richard Burton once called her a monster of staggering charmlessness. And finally, a silent film genius with anything but a silent private life. Charlie Chaplin, comedy pioneer with a troubling past. Charlie Chaplin created timeless comedy classics, but left behind a string of scandals. He married multiple teenage wives, and his controlling behavior led to accusations of emotional abuse. A paternity lawsuit revealed lurid details of his personal life, tarnishing his once pristine image. He fled to Switzerland after being accused of communist sympathies, spending his final years in exile. Hollywood may give us stars to admire, but their off-screen lives often reveal a far darker story. Power, fame, and egos collided behind the scenes, leaving careers shattered and reputations stained. So next time you watch a classic, remember, sometimes the brightest stars cast the darkest shadows. And before you go, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Every sub keeps me caffeinated. And trust me, I need the coffee to keep spilling this Hollywood tea.